Before we dive in, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment with your prediction for who's winning it all in 2026. Your take might be the one that sparks the biggest debate. Now, what if I told you the 2026 NBA championship might already be decided, but not in the way you think? The Oklahoma City Thunder are being called the league's next dynasty. Vegas has them locked in as the favorite, and fans are already whispering about back-to-back banners. But history says dynasties don't come easy. Since the Golden State Warriors in 2018, no team has survived the pressure, the injuries, and the chaos of chasing a repeat. Meanwhile, lurking in the shadows are four hungry contenders: Denver, Houston, Cleveland, and New York, each with their own weapons, their own stories, and their own reasons to believe this year belongs to them. So, the question isn't just who can win, it's who can survive. And the answer might shock you. Every championship race has a frontrunner, but in 2026, the Oklahoma City Thunder aren't just leading the pack, they're pulling away. At plus 275 odds, the Thunder are not only expected to compete, they're expected to dominate. And that's the scary part. This is a team that just lifted the Larry O'Brien trophy, and instead of looking worn out or satisfied, they look hungrier than ever. They didn't build their success on aging superstars or desperate midseason trades. They built it on youth, chemistry, and a foundation that feels unshakable. At the heart of it all is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the reigning 2025 MVP. Smooth, poised, and absolutely ruthless when the game is on the line, Shai has cemented himself as one of the best players in the world. He isn't just scoring points. He's controlling tempo, bending defenses, and making it look effortless. If you give him the ball in the fourth quarter, you might as well start packing up because the game is over. But Shai isn't the only weapon. Chet Holmgren has become a nightmare matchup, combining shot-blocking instincts with guard-like shooting touch. On one end, he's swatting shots into the third row. On the other, he's pulling big men out to the perimeter and burying the threes in their face. Add in Jalen Williams, whose versatility and energy glue everything together, and you've got a three-headed monster that no scouting report can contain. And here's what separates OKC from every other contender: flexibility. This is a team stacked with future draft picks, meaning if they want to add another star, they can. If they want to bolster their bench, they have the assets. Most champions get stuck with a bloated payroll and no way forward. The Thunder, they're still holding the keys to the future. But here's the catch: repeating is the hardest thing in sports. The last team to pull it off was the Golden State Warriors in 2017 and 2018, a dynasty led by Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson. Since then, every team that tried to repeat has collapsed under injuries, fatigue, or the sheer weight of expectations. History doesn't bend easily, and the Thunder will need to be extraordinary to break it. Still, if any team is built for it, it's this one. And while the Thunder sit on top of the odds board, the question remains: can anyone in the West actually knock them off? If the Thunder are the shiny new dynasty in the making, the Denver Nuggets are the grizzled Warriors who refuse to give up the throne. Sitting at plus 600 odds, Denver isn't just a contender. They're a reminder that experience matters, and championships aren't only won by youth and potential. At the center of everything is Nikola Jokic, the two-time MVP and 2023 Finals MVP, who remains one of the most unstoppable forces in basketball. Jokic isn't just a big man, he's a system unto himself. He controls games with vision, passing, rebounding, and scoring in ways no other player in the league can replicate. You can throw double teams, triple teams, or entire defensive schemes at him, and somehow he'll still pick you apart. That's the luxury Denver has, the best problem solver in the NBA. But it's not just Jokic. The Nuggets front office made sure to reload their roster. Cam Johnson brings much-needed shooting and spacing, while Bruce Brown Jr., a key piece of their 2023 title run, has returned to provide toughness and versatility. Add veterans like Jonas Valanciunas and Tim Hardaway Jr., and suddenly Denver looks deeper, more balanced, and just as dangerous as ever. What makes the Nuggets terrifying is their playoff experience. While other teams may crack under the pressure of May and June basketball, Denver knows exactly how to handle it. They've been there, they've survived the gauntlet, they've felt the sting of defeat and the glory of a title. That battle-tested mentality gives them a psychological edge no betting line can capture. Still, there are cracks. Jokic is still at the peak of his powers, but Denver's supporting cast is older, and minutes are piling up on key contributors. Health will be a looming question mark. Can they keep their stars fresh and explosive deep into the postseason? Or will age and mileage catch up at the worst possible time? One thing is clear: if Oklahoma City wants to repeat, they'll have to go through Denver. And as history has shown, Getting past Jokic and the Nuggets is a nightmare no team looks forward to. If the Thunder are the future and the Nuggets are the steady veteran power, then the Houston Rockets are the ultimate wild card, sitting at plus 800 odds and ready to blow up the championship picture. Why? 2 words: Kevin Durant. In one of the boldest moves of the offseason, the Rockets pulled off a blockbuster trade to bring Durant to Houston. And while he's no longer the young Slim Reaper who terrorized defenses a decade ago, Durant remains one of the most lethal scorers the game has ever seen. At 36, his jumper is still pure, his footwork is flawless, and his ability to take over a playoff game hasn't gone anywhere. But Durant didn't come alone. The Rockets doubled down, adding Dorian Finney-Smith, a defensive specialist who can lock up wings, and Clint Capella, a rim-protecting, rebounding machine who gives them toughness inside. Suddenly, this young Rockets team, once written off as rebuilding, is loaded with star power, defense, and playoff-caliber depth. And let's not forget the young core: Jalen Green's explosive scoring, Alperen Sengun's crafty postgame, and Amen Thompson's developing playmaking give Houston a mix of youth and experience that could turn them into one of the most dangerous teams in the league. This roster is designed for chaos. Durant and Capella anchor both ends of the floor, while Finney-Smith provides the kind of defensive versatility that wins games in May and June. Combine that with Houston's young legs running in transition, and you have a nightmare matchup for any top seed. But here's where it gets fascinating. Durant's legacy is on the line. He's already a 2-time Finals MVP, but critics argue he's never truly won without joining a stacked roster. If he leads this Rockets team, a franchise desperate for relevance, back to the mountaintop, it changes the narrative forever. Suddenly, Durant's career isn't defined by Golden State. It's defined by redemption in Houston. Of course, there are risks. Durant's health has been a recurring issue in recent years, and one bad hamstring or ankle could derail everything. Chemistry is another question. Can these new pieces gel in time for a deep playoff run? The Rockets have all the ingredients, but sometimes too many cooks spoil the dish. Still, don't underestimate them. Every season, there's a team that shakes up the balance of power. In 2011, it was the Dallas Mavericks. In 2019, it was the Toronto Raptors. In 2026, it just might be the Houston Rockets. When fans talk about contenders, they usually throw around the same names: Oklahoma City, Denver, maybe even the Rockets. But quietly lurking in the East, at plus 850 odds, is a team that nobody should sleep on: the Cleveland Cavaliers. On paper, the Cavs don't scream super team. They don't have the media circus of the Knicks or the brand recognition of the Celtics. What they do have, though, is something every champion needs: a balanced, battle-tested core. And this year, it might just be their moment. The engine of this team is Donovan Mitchell, a scoring machine who has embraced the spotlight since arriving in Cleveland. He's not just an all-star, he's a playoff performer, the kind of guy who can drop 40 on any given night and single-handedly swing a series. Pair him with Darius Garland, one of the smoothest young point guards in the league, and suddenly the Cavs have one of the most dynamic backcourts in basketball. But what really separates Cleveland is their front-court fortress: Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. Mobley is blossoming into a two-way superstar with defensive instincts that remind people of a young Kevin Garnett. Allen, meanwhile, provides the muscle, rim protection, and rebounding presence every playoff team needs. Together, they anchor one of the stingiest defenses in the league, the kind of defense that can frustrate high-powered offenses like Oklahoma City or Houston. And here's the underrated part: depth. The Cavaliers made quiet but crucial moves to shore up their bench. They've added veteran role players who know their jobs and can hit big shots when the stars rest. No, it doesn't make headlines like Kevin Durant to Houston, but it's exactly the kind of under-the-radar improvement that turns good teams into great ones. The Cavs also benefit from a twist of fate: injuries in the East. The Indiana Pacers are limping without Tyrese Halliburton. The Boston Celtics are without Jason Tatum for a significant stretch. That opens the door wide for Cleveland to rise through the Eastern Conference with less resistance than in years past. Timing is everything in the NBA, and right now, the Cavs' timing looks perfect. But perhaps the most dangerous thing about Cleveland is their mindset. They aren't the flashy favorites. They aren't under the crushing pressure of being the hunted. Instead, they're the hunter, biding their time, waiting for the moment to strike. Nobody's circling them as the team to beat. And that's exactly how upsets happen. Think about 2004, when the Detroit Pistons shocked the world by dismantling the superstar-loaded Los Angeles Lakers. They weren't the betting favorites. They weren't the loudest team in the room. They were the toughest, the smartest, and the most disciplined. That's the lane the Cavaliers could be sliding into in 2026. If Mitchell keeps firing, Mobley takes another leap, and their defense stays elite, Cleveland could not only make it out of the East, they could walk into the finals as the most dangerous underdog we've seen in years. So, while the spotlight stays glued to OKC, Denver, and New York, don't be surprised if the Cavs are the ones still standing when the smoke clears. If Cleveland is the silent killer in the East, then the New York Knicks are the roaring lion, loud, fearless, and desperate to prove they belong at the top of the NBA food chain. At plus 900 odds, they're not the favorite. But if there's one thing about New York sports, it's this. Never underestimate the power of momentum in the city that never sleeps. The Knicks' journey over the past few years has been nothing short of a rebirth. For decades, Madison Square Garden was more known for its celebrity row than championship banners. But now, the Garden has life again. The team that once served as the punchline of the league is suddenly the one nobody wants to face in May. The heart and soul of this squad is Jalen Brunson, a point guard who has gone from being overlooked in Dallas to becoming a full-fledged superstar in New York. Brunson is tough, crafty, and unshakable. He's the kind of player who thrives in the spotlight, and in New York, the spotlight never turns off. Every possession feels bigger, every basket feels louder, and Brunson has embraced it like he was built for this stage. But he's not alone. The Knicks bring back the same Eastern Conference Finals roster that captured the city last season. Josh Hart, a glue guy with grit and hustle who does all the dirty work that doesn't show up in the box score. Add in the physical presence of Mitchell Robinson patrolling the paint, and this roster suddenly has both balance and bite. And then there's the Garden effect. No building in basketball compares to Madison Square Garden in the playoffs. The roar of 20,000 fans, the bright lights of New York City, the weight of history pressing down on the court. It changes things. Opposing stars have admitted it. Playing in New York under playoff pressure is unlike anything else in the league. For the Knicks, that energy isn't a distraction, it's fuel. But what makes New York truly dangerous in 2026 is their experience. This isn't a feel-good underdog story anymore. They've been through the wars. They've learned how to win ugly, how to grind out series, how to claw back when the odds are against them. Last year, they broke through to the Eastern Conference Finals. This year, they believe they can take the next step. Of course, the skeptics remain. The Knicks don't have a top 5 player in the world like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Nikola Jokic. They don't have the splashy star power of Kevin Durant. But what they do have is something equally important: chemistry, toughness, and a refusal to back down. Championships aren't always won by the flashiest team. Sometimes they're won by the hungriest team. The team that's tired of being overlooked. The team that refuses to accept failure as an option. And make no mistake, the Knicks are hungry. They've been waiting for this moment for decades. The city is behind them, the roster is ready, and the Eastern Conference path is wide open. If the Cavs are the silent killer, the Knicks are the street fighter, the one that shows up bloody but smiling, ready to throw one more punch. So, don't let the plus 900 odds fool you. The Knicks aren't just participating in the championship conversation. They're banging on the door, demanding respect. And in 2026, that door might just swing wide open. Every new champion talks about building a dynasty. Every roster dreams about hanging banner after banner in the rafters. But here's the reality. Repeating in the NBA is one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. The last team to pull it off? The Golden State Warriors way back in 2017 and 2018, led by Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson. That was a once-in-a-generation roster, stacked with Hall of Fame talent. Since then, every team that tried to defend their crown has stumbled. The 2019 Raptors couldn't keep Kawhi Leonard. The 2020 Lakers, worn down by the bubble, fell apart under injuries. The 2021 Bucks, despite Giannis Antetokounmpo's brilliance, couldn't repeat the magic. And the 2022 Warriors, even with their dynasty core, couldn't string together another run. The pattern is clear. Winning once is hard, but winning twice in a row is nearly impossible. Why? Because the NBA grinds down champions. Every team circles the champs on their calendar. Every opponent plays harder. Fatigue sets in, injuries pile up, pressure mounts. What looked like destiny can quickly collapse under the weight of expectations. And that's exactly what the Oklahoma City Thunder are up against in 2026. Sure, they're young, hungry, and loaded with talent, but that doesn't make them immune to the curse. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, these guys are phenomenal. But can they withstand the pressure cooker of defending a title when every opponent is gunning for them? History suggests the odds are stacked against them. The NBA has seen dynasties: Jordan's Bulls, Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, Curry's Warriors. But those are rare exceptions, not the rule. For every dynasty, there are a dozen one-hit wonders, champions who looked poised to dominate but faded just as quickly. The repeat curse hangs heavy over this season. It's the invisible opponent OKC can't game plan for. Injuries, pressure, fatigue, those are the enemies no coach can fully prepare for. And if the curse holds true, it means the door swings wide open for the challengers, the Nuggets, Rockets, Cavs, and Knicks, all waiting for their chance to strike. Every season begins with clear favorites, but the truth is simple. The NBA never follows the script. Championships aren't just won by talent, coaching, or even chemistry. They're decided by the unpredictable, the things no one can see coming. And in 2026, the race could swing on three critical X factors: trades, injuries, and player development. First, the trade market. The deadline has become one of the most dramatic events of the season, capable of flipping the balance of power overnight. A single blockbuster move can transform a playoff hopeful into a legitimate contender. Could the Thunder package their treasure chest of draft picks for another star? Could the Nuggets add one more shooter to keep pace with OKC's firepower? Or maybe the Knicks, already boosted by Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, go all in with another bold move to chase their first title in half a century. One phone call, one trade, and the entire playoff picture changes. Then there are injuries, the cruelest X factor of them all. Every champion needs luck on their side because no matter how talented a roster is, one torn ACL or rolled ankle can shatter the dream. We've seen it before. Derrick Rose in 2012, Kawhi Leonard in 2017, Anthony Davis in 2021. The list goes on. As durable as players like Jokic and Shea appear, the grind of an 82-game season plus the playoffs takes its toll. The team that survives May and June is often the team that stays the healthiest, not just the most talented. And finally, player development. This is the hidden weapon of every contender. For Oklahoma City, it's Chet Holmgren continuing to evolve into a two-way superstar. For Cleveland, it's Evan Mobley blossoming into the best defender in basketball. For Houston, it's young stars like Jalen Green and Amen Thompson growing up fast alongside Kevin Durant. And for the Knicks, it could be a playoff difference maker. These leaps don't always show up in the headlines, but when the playoffs hit, they can decide a series. Put it all together, and here's the truth. The 2026 NBA champion won't just be the team with the best odds. It'll be the team that survives the chaos. The team that stays healthy, nails the right trade, and sees its young players grow into stars when the lights are brightest. That's what makes this season so unpredictable. That's why fans are glued to every rumor, every injury report, every breakout performance, and when the dust settles, it won't be the analysts or the betting lines that decide the outcome. It'll be these X factors, the little things nobody saw coming, that crown the next NBA champion. So, here we are. The 2026 NBA championship race, a battlefield filled with giants, hungry challengers, and wild cards ready to shock the world. On paper, the Oklahoma City Thunder stand as the favorite. Young, fearless, and led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they look like the NBA's next dynasty. But history has a cruel way of humbling champions. The repeat curse looms large, and the road back to the top is paved with broken dynasties. The Denver Nuggets remain a sleeping giant. As long as Nikola Jokic is on the floor, no team can ever feel safe. The Houston Rockets are the ultimate wild card, with Kevin Durant chasing legacy and a roster stacked with both experience and youth. The Cleveland Cavaliers have the perfect blend of defense, depth, and opportunity in a weakened Eastern Conference. And then there's the New York Knicks, armed with Jalen Brunson's heart, Karl Anthony Towns' size, and Mikal Bridges' defense, riding the wave of New York City's relentless energy. The truth? No one's crown is safe. The odds say Thunder. The history books say, not so fast. And the chaos of the NBA says anything can happen. So here's the big question. Who do you think will survive the chaos and lift the trophy in 2026? Will it be Shai and the Thunder, breaking the repeat curse? Will Jokic and Denver remind everyone why they're still the kings of the West? Could Durant shock the world and deliver Houston its first title since the Olajuwon days? Or will the East rise again, with Cleveland or New York finally claiming basketball glory? One thing is guaranteed, the story isn't finished yet. Now, it's your turn. Drop your prediction in the comments right now. Do you believe in the Thunder's dynasty, or are you riding with an underdog? Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and join the debate, because the 2026 finals might just be one of the most unpredictable in NBA history.